over the next couple of days, or I don't know, maybe every time I pause the camera I'm going to start trying to rearrange this area a little, make it more of like a little smoking loungy area, man. I'm telling you, the last year that I haven't been doing this, I missed it terribly. It's not like I stopped because I didn't care, or I stopped because I didn't want to do it anymore, or I stopped because I just didn't have the money to buy cigars and smoke like I want. I had to use my money very carefully, and if I wanted to smoke a cigar a day, which I couldn't even do that, maybe every 2 days, and I was buying, brands I liked but fairly low end stuff, no Cubans. I mean, I just couldn't afford it, man. Couldn't afford it anymore. Unfortunately, I have a taste for, the particularly expensive, sometimes ridiculously expensive. But I've never gone for a box of Grand Reserves or anything like that. Have smoked them. Never gone for a box, though. I suppose just like, for some people that's their thing. For me, I guess I'd rather, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'd rather have like that jar to show for it or whatever. Grand Reserves are very good cigars, but I'm telling you, I smoked a Partagas Reserva, and it's a D4 Reserva. I have one left in my humidor. Maybe that'll be like a way down the line kind of thing. That's been sitting there a long time, and that was a hell of a cigar. But in my mind, right now, I can't say that it was so much better than this. I mean, I don't know. This happens to be one of my favorite sizes. It's a true Robusto. 50 ring gauge. I think it's 5 or 5. I think it's 5 inches, 50 ring gauge. Partagas is a very rich brand with a very, very long history. And I'm going to try to remember as much as I can, but I did make a little group of Post-its here to share with all you guys some details that I think are very interesting, or some things I like to know about the brand I'm smoking. Partagas, like we were talking about in the H. Upman review, like H. Upman, is one of the oldest Cuban cigar brands still in existence. In fact, they are actually 1 year younger than H. Upman. H. Upman still has them beat, but Partagas was established in 1945, where H. Upman was established in 44. So they are a very old brand. I went and got my little group of Post-its because I don't want to leave anything out. It's a lot of information, and I grabbed a lot of this stuff off the internet. But let's see. Partagas was started in 1845 by, now this is weird because the guy's name is Don, and it's spelled Jaume. Now I'm going to call him Don Juan. Juan? I mean, I don't know how to pronounce it, but let's just say Don Juan Partagas. He was actually born in Spain and later emigrated to Cuba. And moving on, he helped establish a factory with a businessman in 1827. So as early as 1827, this guy was involved in the cigar industry. And by 1845, he established his company, Partagas, which was called Real Fábrica de Tabaco Partagas, which stands for Royal Partagas Tobacco Family. And they basically say that was because of his known association or dealings with royalty from Asia and Europe. So hence the royal part of that. Supplied a lot of cigars to foreign dignitaries and things of that nature. And this first factory was opened up on 60 Industrial Street in Havana, many Cuba. of the finest plantations at the time, including plantations in Vuelta Bajo, which we all know they say the absolute finest Cuban tobacco still comes from today. He's credited, this was interesting, he's credited with hiring the first lector to work in factories and to entertain the factory workers. And this is a fact that a lot of people know. Factory workers would sit there and make cigars all day long, and for entertainment, somebody would read a book to them. And this is what a lector is. And he's actually credited with hiring the first. He had a lot of love affairs. Rich guy, owns a lot of businesses, a lot of money, and apparently was a Don Juan. And due to that, they say, he was actually murdered by a jealous rival and died in, well, Joseph Partagas took over. He was his son. And shortly after, he sold the company to a banker, nonetheless, kind of like H. Upman. His name was Jose Bance, B-A-N-C-E. Okay, so then we have Jose, the banker, resold the factory to Cifuentes Cecilia, who we all know today. The name is on a lot of the labels and bands, and let's see, later on, that was in I think I wrote 1950, I can't be sure what I wrote here, my handwriting's terrible. In 1954, Cifuentes acquired Bolivar, La Gloria Cabana. Anyway, soon later, the brand was second only to H. Upman. They had a year head start, so I guess that's that. But they were just about the biggest producer of cigars in the world at that time. You got to remember, back then there really were no Dominican brands, or, you know, I mean, there might have been a few. I really don't know exactly when that started, but Cuba was definitely the main supplier of everyone. They were still legal in the United States. In 1958, the old Partagas factory was renamed to the Francisco Perez German factory. And, you know, after the revolution, this was interesting, the patriarch of the family, Roman, was offered a leading job in the tobacco industry in Cuba. And he refused it and left, got the hell out of there. And then Cuba Tobacco took over, all right? And almost 2 decades later, the Cifuentes family licensed the Partagas and Bolivar names to General Cigar in 1978. And that is when the whole Dominican cigar thing, I guess it had been around for a while since the embargo was passed, but that's when General Cigar started getting the names for these Cuban cigars. When you see these non-Cuban cigar brands with Cuban names like Partagas and Bolivar. There are others like Romeo y Juliet, but those are owned by Altadis. So there are two main firms in the American market, General Cigar and Altadis, who each own a share of these different Cuban names, a handful of Cuban names. One owns some of them, the other owns the others. And that is that. We didn't mention the Serie cigars, like the Serie D we have here, were started in the 1930s. In the mid-1960s, they were put on a hiatus for a while due to the whole revolution and everything, and then in 1975, they were reinstated. And to this day, the Serie D, specifically the Serie D, I mean the Serie cigars as a whole, sure, but the Serie D number 4 remains one of the most respected cigars, well-known, renowned cigars in the world. It is loved and admired by cigar smokers, from amateurs to aficionados. It's just one of those cigars that everybody knows and everybody loves. I've met very few people who don't like it. And usually it's because they like it, but it's a little too strong. It is a pretty strong cigar. The D4 is legendary. It really is a legendary cigar. It is a legendary Robusto. It is the head of the Robusto family, in my opinion. So, and this one, for sure, shows us why. I mean, it is just absolutely amazing. The twang has not subsided, but it's getting deeper. It's a deeper note now. It's not as high pitched, and it is receding further back from the tip of the tongue, kind of in the forward center of the tongue. It's a strange kind of feeling. The back of my palate has this cobwebby kind of cottony feeling as I keep taking in the smoke and exhaling it. The room now is just full of this, and the fragrance is just unbelievable. Wow. It's so sweet. It's so sweet and woody. It's absolutely great. I wish I could just leave it like that, but being that, you know, people live here, I keep the bait. It is freezing out. It's snowing again. It's snowing again. So, I mean, what better cigar? Add a little power and spice, and you got just great, you know. It's big, thick clouds of rich, creamy smoke, and just such a great flavor, just a great overall flavor. Powerful. I am feeling a little bit heady already. I definitely have that relaxed feeling. Kind of thinking about what to eat after this, because that's what's going to happen. I definitely want to try to get this review up tonight, so I don't want to make it too long. We are creeping toward it is a very slow burning cigar. We're creeping toward the end of our first third, so I'm going to tune out for a second and enjoy this, and once we get into the second third, I will come back to let you know what's going on with our Serie D number 4.